Oh my gosh, girls, you are not going to believe what just happened to me today. I was supposed to have the perfect alone time in my little sissy world, all dressed up in my cutest outfit, my stockings on, my heels clicking so softly against the floor, and then, he came home early. Face screaming in fear, older man like, literally heart-stopping panic. My sweet little sissy heart was racing, my hands were trembling, and I felt my cheeks heating up hotter than my favorite blush. I mean, you all know how careful I am, right? How I hide every little part of my sissy secret, every cute outfit, every makeup mistake, every fluttering wig. And here comes Grandpa, opening the door before I even had time to take a single deep breath. And yes, girls, I completely froze. My legs were stuck together like I was glued to the carpet, and my brain. Oh honey, it was going 1,000 miles per hour trying to figure out how to explain, or maybe just vanish into thin air. I'll never forget that moment. My little chest pounding, my heart doing that wild fluttery sissy dance, my hands clutching the hem of my tiny skirt, praying, please don't notice me, please don't notice me. And then I heard it, the slow shuffle of his footsteps. Closer, closer. Oh girl, you could say my panic was epic. My mind screamed, why didn't anyone warn me he'd come home early? And honestly, I knew that if he saw me like this, if he saw me, all dolled up in pink lace, my heels, my trembling little sissy body, it would be a disaster. Grandpa is the kind of man who doesn't exactly understand. He doesn't exactly smile when a boy turns into the little girly sissy he didn't expect. He panics, he frowns, and girl, that's exactly the panic attack I feared. But here's the thing, my loves, even in that moment, even as I felt like curling up under my fluffy blanket, there was a little spark inside me. That little naughty sissy thrill that comes when you're caught, when your secret is on the edge of being discovered. There's something so ridiculously exciting about the fear that makes your little heart flutter, the fear that makes you feel alive, the fear that makes you realize you are completely, wonderfully, undeniably yourself. So I stood there, trembling in my heels, adjusting my wig for the 10th time in 5 minutes, trying to look casual as if I wasn't a sissy disaster waiting to happen. I practiced my little voice in my head, whispering, "Hi Grandpa. Nice to see you early." But honey, my voice came out high-pitched and squeaky, just like a tiny sissy mouse, and I could feel the blush crawling from my ears to my neck. And as he walked closer, I could literally see the confusion in his eyes, the hesitation, the what is happening in my living room look. And that, my darlings, is when I realized, oh girl, this isn't just a little scare. This is full-on sissy panic mode, the kind that makes you want to hide under the couch, curl into a ball, and pray for a magic spell to turn back time. But you know me, sweeties. Your little sissy empress doesn't stay down for long. No, I might have panicked for a hot second, but then I remembered something very important. Every little sissy moment, even the scary ones, is a chance to sparkle, to flirt with fate, to show that your sissy spirit is stronger than fear. And honey, even trembling, even terrified, I started to straighten my shoulders, smooth my skirt, adjust my stockings, and whisper to myself, "You've got this, little sissy. He might be shocked, but you are fabulous, you are perfect, and you will survive this panic moment like the queen you are." And just as I was about to run to hide under the bed, something incredible happened. I felt a tiny rush of courage. I realized, maybe, just maybe, this scary, heart-pounding, blush-spreading panic could be turned into something fun, something flirty, something wildly sissy exciting. Because girls, let's be honest. What's a sissy adventure without a little drama, without a little fear, without a little thrill that makes your heart race faster than your high heels on marble floors? So there I was, little sissy knees wobbling, my wig slightly crooked, my lipstick probably smudged, but my eyes, oh honey, my eyes were sparkling. Because I knew this story, this panic attack moment with Grandpa, was about to become one of the juiciest, most sissa-flirty, most unforgettable moments of my life. And trust me, you are going to live every second of it with me. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, my sweet little sissy angels. How fear can turn into flirty excitement, how being caught can make your heart race and your cheeks burn, and how a little panic can actually empower your inner sissy to shine brighter than ever. So grab your heels, straighten your skirts, and let's dive right into this scandalous, blush-inducing, absolutely fabulous adventure, because girl, Grandpa came home early, and your sissy empress is about to survive it in style. My heart was still pounding so loud I swear Grandpa could hear it from across the room. Every second felt stretched, like time itself was teasing me, letting my fear simmer just a little longer. I tried to smile, a soft, polite smile, the kind that says everything is normal, nothing to see here, just your totally normal grandchild standing in heels and stockings. Inside though, oh sweetheart, inside I was screaming. He stopped right there, just a few steps away. I could see his eyes scanning me slowly, starting from my wig, sliding down my face, my makeup, my outfit. My stomach flipped. I felt that strange mix of terror and embarrassment and that naughty little sissy thrill that whispers, "You're really doing this, you're being seen." My fingers curled nervously, nails tapping against each other. My body swaying slightly because these heels suddenly felt much higher than before. I could feel my breath getting shallow. In my head, I kept repeating, "Stay calm, stay soft, don't panic," because the last thing I wanted was to trigger something bad for him. Grandpa has always been sensitive, and the fear that he might panic because of me, oh girl, that hit deeper than the fear of being caught. I wasn't just scared for myself anymore. I was scared of hurting him, of shocking him too much, of being the reason his chest tightened and his world tilted. So I took a slow breath, the way I've practiced so many times in front of the mirror. In through the nose, out through the lips. I gently lowered my shoulders, relaxed my posture, and tried to look smaller, softer, less shocking. My voice trembled when I finally spoke, and I hated how cute and shaky it sounded at the same time. "Hi Grandpa, you're home early." The words felt like they floated in the air between us. He blinked once. Twice. His hand tightened slightly on the doorframe, and my heart dropped straight into my heels. That was it. That was the sign I was terrified of. I took another step back, careful not to trip, my skirt brushing against my thighs, and I could feel sweat forming under my wig. I wanted to explain everything at once, to spill my whole story, but my mouth wouldn't cooperate. In that silence, my mind raced through memories. All those nights I spent discovering myself, all those moments of slipping into something soft and feminine, feeling powerful and pretty and calm. This wasn't a costume. This wasn't a joke. This was me. And standing there, shaking in front of Grandpa, I felt that truth stronger than ever. Even fear couldn't erase it. I noticed his breathing then. A little faster. A little uneven. Oh no, my chest tightened instantly. "Grandpa, are you okay?" I asked, stepping closer before I even thought about it. The instinct to care kicked in faster than my fear. I reached out, then stopped myself, not wanting to overwhelm him. My hands hovered awkwardly in the air, my bangles softly clinking, the sound somehow too loud in that quiet room. He looked at me again, really looked this time, and I saw confusion, shock, and something else too, uncertainty. Not anger. Not rage. Just a man whose world had shifted suddenly. And in that moment, I realized something important, my loves. Panic doesn't always come from hate. Sometimes it comes from surprise, from not knowing how to react, from feeling unprepared. That thought softened my fear just a little. I swallowed and straightened my back again, channeling every ounce of my sissy courage. "It's still me, Grandpa," I wanted to say. "I'm still the same person. I'm just more honest like this." The words stayed stuck in my throat, but my eyes said them anyway. I let myself stand there, not hiding, not running, just existing as I am. My legs were still shaking, my heart still racing, but beneath it all, there was a quiet strength growing. I didn't choose this moment, but I could choose how I faced it. Soft, calm, feminine, brave. And even as fear lingered in the air, I felt something else bloom inside me too. Pride. Because no matter what happened next, I hadn't disappeared. I hadn't erased myself. I was still standing. And right there, in that tense, fragile moment, I knew this wasn't just about Grandpa coming home early. This was about facing fear without losing yourself. About holding your sissy truth gently, even when the world feels shaky. And honey, what happened next changed everything in a way I never expected. The room felt heavier, like the air itself was pressing down on my chest. Grandpa slowly lowered himself onto the chair, his movements careful, deliberate. That scared me more than if he had shouted. Silence can be so loud, girls, so loud it makes your ears ring. I stood there, frozen in my heels, watching him, counting every breath he took like it was the most important thing in the world. My heart kept whispering, "This is your fault, calm him down, don't let him panic." I moved gently, softly, the way I move when I want to feel extra feminine, extra careful. I knelt slightly beside him, keeping my distance but staying close enough so he knew he wasn't alone. My skirt folded under me, my stockings brushing against my skin, grounding me in my body, reminding me to stay present. I spoke again, slower this time, softer. "Grandpa, please breathe slowly with me. In and out." My voice surprised even me. It wasn't shaky anymore. It was calm, almost soothing, like I was talking to myself too. I exaggerated my breathing just a little, hoping he'd follow. Watching his chest rise and fall, I matched my breath to his, letting the rhythm steady my racing heart. For a moment, nothing changed. My mind spiraled again. What if this really was too much for him? What if seeing me like this broke something inside him? The guilt burned hot in my chest, sharper than the fear of being judged. I would have given anything right then to rewind time, to hide my clothes, wipe off my makeup, be invisible again. But the thought passed just as quickly as it came. Because hiding had never really saved me before, had it? I noticed his hands then, resting on his knees, still tense but no longer gripping. His breathing slowed just a fraction. That tiny change felt like a miracle. I felt my shoulders drop, relief washing through me in a warm wave. Okay, he's calming down. You're doing okay. We're doing okay. He finally spoke, his voice low, confused, not angry. Why are you dressed like this? The question landed gently, not like an accusation, more like a child asking why the sky is blue. My throat tightened again, but this time it wasn't panic. It was emotion. Because this was it. The question I'd been avoiding my whole life. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence sit for a second, long enough for me to gather myself. I placed one hand over my heart, feeling it beat, reminding myself I was alive, real, valid. Because it feels right, Grandpa. The words came out small, but honest. Because this makes me feel like me. Saying it out loud felt terrifying and freeing at the same time. Like stepping off a cliff and realizing you can fly. I watched his face carefully, searching for signs of distress, of another wave of panic. Instead, I saw something soften in his eyes. Confusion was still there, yes, but the sharp edge was gone. He leaned back slightly, taking another slow breath. I followed him again, breathing with him, my body mirroring his calm. I realized then how powerful softness can be. Not loud explanations. Not defenses. Just honesty wrapped in gentleness. Just existing without apology. Inside, my sissy heart fluttered. Not from fear this time, but from pride. I hadn't screamed. I hadn't run. I hadn't lied. I stayed. I spoke my truth. And even if Grandpa didn't understand yet, I could feel the storm passing, little by little. That moment taught me something I'll never forget. Fear feeds on chaos, but calm starves it. When you stand in your truth with softness, even panic has room to breathe. And as Grandpa sat there, calmer now, looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time, I knew this conversation was far from over. Because the next thing he said, "Oh girls," that's when everything shifted in a way I never saw coming. He cleared his throat, and that small sound made me tense all over again. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, my back straightening, my fingers curling into my skirt. I looked up at him, wide-eyed, waiting. Whatever he was about to say felt important, like one of those moments you remember forever. He didn't look angry. That was the strangest part. He looked tired, confused, human. "I've lived a long time," he said slowly, "and I've seen many strange things." His voice wasn't shaking anymore, but it carried weight. Years. Experience. I nodded without realizing it, my wig bobbing slightly, my earrings swaying with the movement. My heart softened. This wasn't a confrontation. This was something else. He looked at me again, but this time his gaze didn't scan me like a problem to solve. It rested. Like he was trying to understand a picture that didn't quite fit the frame he'd always used. "You surprised me," he admitted, rubbing his chest once as if checking himself. That's why my heart raced. Guilt washed over me again, heavy and warm. "I never wanted to scare you, Grandpa." The words came out fast, almost spilling over each other. "I promise. I would have told you someday. Just not like this." I bit my lip, my eyes stinging, mascara threatening to betray me. He waved his hand gently, not dismissively, just calming. "I'm all right now. You can stop looking like you're about to faint." That made a tiny, nervous laugh slip out of me before I could stop it. It felt wrong and right at the same time. Laughing in heels, in fear, in relief. Very sissy of me, honestly. I stood there, unsure what to do with my body. Sit. Stand. Run. I chose stillness. Sometimes stillness is the bravest thing. He gestured toward the sofa, and my heart skipped. "Sit down," he said. "We should talk." Talk. That word echoed in my head like thunder. I carefully walked over, every step deliberate, heels clicking softly, announcing my presence with each movement. I perched on the edge of the sofa, knees together, hands folded in my lap like a good girl. My posture felt instinctive, natural, like this was who I'd always been underneath. He watched me sit, eyebrows lifting just a little. "You seem comfortable like that," he said, not accusing, just observing. I swallowed. "Yes, Grandpa. I am." Saying it felt like stepping into sunlight. Scary, but warm. He sighed, long and deep, then leaned back. The panic I'd feared was gone now, replaced by something quieter. Processing. Thinking. I could almost see the gears turning in his mind. And for the first time since he walked in, I felt hope. Small, fragile hope, but real. I realized something then, my loves. Sometimes the fear we build in our heads is bigger than reality. Sometimes people don't react how we imagine. Sometimes they surprise us too. Standing in your truth doesn't always cause explosions. Sometimes it just starts conversations. My chest felt lighter, my breathing steady. I was still nervous, yes, but no longer drowning in panic. Grandpa hadn't run away. He hadn't collapsed. He hadn't shouted. He was sitting there, alive, calm, talking to me. That alone felt like a victory. And as we sat there together, the distance between us shrinking not in space but in understanding, I knew the hardest part wasn't being seen. It was trusting that being seen wouldn't destroy everything. But the conversation was only just beginning. And what he asked me next, oh sweethearts, that question went straight to my soul. He leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees, his eyes meeting mine in a way that made my stomach flutter all over again. Not fear this time. Something deeper. Something real. "How long have you felt like this?" he asked quietly. That question hit me harder than anything else so far. Not why. Not what is wrong with you. Just, how long? Like he was acknowledging that this wasn't sudden, that it wasn't a joke or a phase that appeared overnight. My lips parted, but no sound came out at first. I stared down at my hands, nails perfectly painted, trembling just a little. "A long time, Grandpa." The words finally came, soft but steady. "Longer than you think." Saying that felt like opening a door I'd kept locked for years. Memories rushed in all at once. Sneaking into my room, locking the door, trying on clothes in secret. The first time I saw myself in the mirror and felt that spark of recognition. The fear of being discovered mixed with the joy of finally feeling right. I swallowed again, my chest tight with emotion. He nodded slowly, absorbing it. His breathing stayed calm, and I silently thanked everything in the universe for that. "And you've been hiding it all this time?" he asked. I nodded too. Yes. Because I was scared. Scared of reactions. Scared of hurting people. Scared of moments exactly like this. I gestured around us with a small, shaky smile. For a moment, he didn't say anything. He just sat there, thinking. I could feel the tension in my body easing bit by bit, like a tight knot slowly loosening. I realized I wasn't shrinking anymore. I wasn't trying to make myself smaller. I was sitting there as I am, skirt, makeup, heels and all, speaking honestly. That realization made my heart swell. He finally spoke again. I won't lie, it's a lot to take in. His honesty didn't scare me. It comforted me. I'd rather hear truth than fake acceptance. But I don't feel sick. I don't feel dizzy. And I'm not having a panic attack. He paused, looking directly at me. You don't need to be afraid of that. Relief hit me so hard I almost cried. My eyes burned, and I blinked rapidly, trying not to smudge my makeup. Thank you, Grandpa, I whispered. You have no idea how scared I was. He gave a small, tired smile. I could tell this wasn't easy for him, but he was trying. And that effort meant everything. I noticed then how quiet the room had become. No rushing thoughts. No pounding heart. Just two people sitting together, breathing the same air. Inside me, something shifted again. I felt stronger. Not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because I survived the moment I'd feared most. I didn't break. He didn't break. The world didn't end. Sometimes, my loves, empowerment doesn't come with applause or instant acceptance. Sometimes it comes quietly, in a living room, with shaky voices and honest questions. Sometimes it comes when fear loosens its grip just enough for understanding to slip in. I straightened my back slightly, confidence blooming in my chest. If you want to ask me anything, Grandpa, you can. I said it gently, but firmly. No more hiding. He studied me for a long second, then nodded. All right, he said. Then tell me this. And that's when he asked something that made my breath catch, something that forced me to look even deeper into myself than before. He looked at me carefully, like he was choosing his words with great care. Does this make you happy? He asked. That question, oh girls, that question cracked something open inside me. Not in a painful way, but in a raw, honest way. I felt my throat tighten instantly, my eyes filling before I could stop it. Happy. Such a simple word, yet it carried everything I'd been hiding for so long. I didn't answer right away. I took a breath, feeling my chest rise and fall, feeling the fabric of my outfit against my skin, the weight of my wig, the gentle pressure of my heels on the floor. All the things that grounded me in this moment, in this truth. Then I nodded. Slowly. Yes, Grandpa. It does. Saying it out loud felt powerful. Like I'd finally claimed something that was always mine. When I dress like this, when I let myself be soft, feminine, expressive, I feel calm. I feel confident. I feel like I'm not pretending anymore. My voice grew steadier with every word. I don't feel broken. I feel whole. He listened without interrupting, his face unreadable but calm. That alone felt like a gift. I continued, because once I started, it felt impossible to stop. I spent so many years scared of being seen, scared of reactions, scared of causing panic or disappointment. But hiding hurt me more than I ever admitted. I looked down at my hands again, then back up at him. I was terrified when you came home early. Not just because you saw me like this, but because I thought it might hurt you. I thought my happiness would cause you pain. He inhaled slowly, then exhaled. I won't pretend I understand everything, he said. But I can see that this matters to you. That you're not doing this to shock anyone. That was it. That was the moment my fear finally loosened its grip. My shoulders relaxed completely, and I felt warmth spread through my chest. Thank you for seeing that, I said softly. Inside, my sissy heart was glowing. Not because everything was solved, but because my truth had been spoken and heard. I realized something then, my loves. Sometimes the most empowering thing you can do is answer a simple question honestly. Happiness doesn't need permission. It just needs honesty. I shifted slightly on the sofa, sitting taller now, no longer shrinking. This is who I am, Grandpa. I'm still learning. Still growing. But this makes me feel alive. He nodded again, slower this time, like he was letting the idea settle into him. I could tell he was still processing, still adjusting, but the panic I'd feared so deeply was gone. In its place was curiosity. Thoughtfulness. Humanity. I smiled then. Not a nervous smile. A real one. And in that smile was pride. Pride in surviving fear. Pride in choosing softness over hiding. Pride in being exactly who I am, even when it's scary. The room felt lighter. The tension that once wrapped around my chest had dissolved, replaced by something gentle and hopeful. But the conversation wasn't over yet. Because Grandpa leaned back, folded his hands together, and said something that made my heart flutter in a completely different way. He studied me quietly for a moment, then spoke in a tone I didn't expect at all. "You seem brave," he said. Not loud, not dramatic. Just brave. That word landed softly but deeply. Brave. I'd never thought of myself that way. I always thought bravery was loud, strong, fearless. Not someone in heels with shaking knees and watery eyes. My lips curved into a small smile, and I felt warmth bloom in my chest. "I don't always feel brave, Grandpa. Most days I feel scared." He nodded like that made perfect sense. "Bravery isn't the absence of fear," he replied. "It's standing there even when you're afraid." Oh girls, if you could have felt my heart in that moment. It wasn't racing anymore. It was steady. Strong. I realized then that the fear I'd been carrying wasn't just about being caught. It was about being misunderstood forever. And right there, sitting across from him, that fear started to change shape. I shifted slightly, crossing my ankles the way I always do when I'm nervous, the way that makes me feel extra feminine. "I was scared you'd panic," I admitted. "That seeing me like this would hurt you." He sighed softly. "I was surprised, yes. It shocked me. But panic comes from feeling helpless. Right now, I don't feel helpless." Those words settled over me like a blanket. Safe. Reassuring. I felt my eyes sting again, but this time I didn't fight it. A tear slipped free, rolling down my cheek, and I wiped it gently with the back of my hand, careful not to ruin my makeup. I didn't know how much I needed to hear that until now, I whispered. He looked at me with something close to gentleness. "You're not responsible for my heart giving me trouble," he said firmly. "Don't carry that weight." I inhaled deeply, letting that guilt finally leave my body. So many of us carry other people's fears on our shoulders, my loves. We dim ourselves, hide ourselves, twist ourselves into smaller shapes so others won't panic, won't be uncomfortable, won't be surprised. But that weight isn't ours to hold forever. I sat taller again, feeling a quiet confidence spread through me. "Thank you for saying that, Grandpa." He nodded once, then glanced away briefly, like he was gathering courage of his own. "This is new for me," he admitted. "But I don't want to react with fear if what you're showing me is honesty." That right there, that was another shift. Understanding doesn't always come instantly. Sometimes it starts with a choice not to panic. A choice to listen. A choice to stay. I smiled at him, a soft, grateful smile. "I don't expect you to understand everything right away. I just wanted you to know me." The room felt calm now. Almost peaceful. The earlier panic felt like a distant memory, replaced by something fragile but hopeful. But just when I thought the emotional waves were settling, Grandpa asked one more thing. Something that made my breath hitch and my sissy heart flutter all over again. He hesitated, then asked softly, "Does anyone else know?" That question made my stomach flip all over again, not with panic this time, but with vulnerability. Being seen by one person was already overwhelming. The idea of being known by more. My fingers tightened together in my lap, nails pressing lightly into my palms. "Not many," I admitted. "Just a few people, and even then, not completely." He nodded slowly, like he understood the weight of secrecy. "Keeping something like that inside for so long must be exhausting," he said. "Oh girls. I felt that in my bones." Exhausting didn't even begin to cover it. I smiled weakly. "It is. Some days, pretending is harder than anything else." For the first time since he came home early, he reached out slightly, stopping before touching me, like he was asking permission without words. I didn't pull away. That small pause meant everything. His hand rested gently on the arm of the sofa instead, close enough to feel supportive without crossing a line. "You don't look like you're pretending right now," he said. You look real. That did it. Another tear slipped down my cheek, and this time I didn't rush to wipe it away. I let myself feel it. Real. I'd spent so long hiding, performing versions of myself that felt incomplete. Sitting there, dressed as myself, emotional and open, I felt more real than ever before. I took a steady breath. This is me when I'm not scared, I said quietly. When I'm not hiding. He leaned back, absorbing that. I could tell his mind was still working through years of expectations, memories, assumptions. But he wasn't pushing back. He wasn't panicking. He was staying. And sometimes staying is the most powerful thing of all. I realized then how much courage it takes not just to reveal yourself, but to let someone see you without knowing how they'll react. It's terrifying. It's vulnerable. But it's also freeing in a way nothing else can be. He cleared his throat. You know, he said, the world has changed a lot since I was young. Sometimes it changes faster than we can keep up with. I nodded gently. I know. And I don't expect you to suddenly understand everything. I just wanted to be honest. Honesty, he repeated thoughtfully. That's not a bad place to start. Hearing that felt like a quiet victory. No fireworks. No dramatic acceptance. Just acknowledgement. Just space to exist. Inside me, my sissy heart glowed softly. Not loud pride. Gentle pride. The kind that whispers, you did it. You survived. You stayed true. I shifted slightly, feeling more relaxed now, my body no longer locked in tension. Thank you for listening, Grandpa. He nodded again, then looked at me with a seriousness that made my breath pause. There's something else I want to ask you, he said. And the way he said it told me this next question would go even deeper than the rest. He looked at me carefully, his voice gentle but serious. Are you safe like this? He asked. Are you being treated well? That question surprised me. I'd braced myself for judgment, for confusion, even for disappointment. But concern. Care. It caught me off guard in the best way. I felt my chest warm instantly, like something protective wrapped around my heart. Yes, Grandpa, I said softly. I'm safe. I choose this. No one is forcing me. He nodded, relief visible in the way his shoulders eased. That's what matters to me, he replied. I realized then how powerful it is when someone asks about your safety instead of your validity. He wasn't questioning whether I should be this way. He was making sure I wasn't being hurt. That shift meant everything. I took a breath and let myself speak freely. This isn't about pressure or influence. It's about comfort. About expression. About letting myself be gentle in a world that always told me to be hard. He listened, eyes steady, not interrupting. I could tell he was still learning, still adjusting, but he wasn't closing himself off. And in that moment, I felt a strange sense of protection settle over me, like I wasn't alone anymore in this secret. When I dress like this, I continued, I feel confident. Not loud confidence. Quiet confidence. Like I can finally breathe. He nodded slowly. Breathing matters, he said simply. That line stayed with me. Breathing matters. So many of us hold our breath for years, afraid of being seen, afraid of reactions, afraid of causing panic in others. But we deserve air too. I shifted closer on the sofa without even realizing it, my body more relaxed now, my movements natural. I noticed he didn't pull away. That small detail felt huge. I was so scared you'd panic, I admitted again. That I'd hurt you just by being me. He shook his head gently. Fear comes from not knowing. Right now, I'm learning. Learning. Not rejecting. Not panicking. Learning. My lips curved into a soft smile, pride blooming quietly in my chest. I realized something important then, my loves. Sometimes courage isn't about standing tall and fearless. Sometimes it's about staying seated, staying honest, and letting people catch up to the truth. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not an enemy, not a threat, but a man adjusting to a new reality. A man choosing calm over panic. Thank you for asking if I'm safe, I said. It means more than you know. He gave a small nod, then took a slow breath of his own. All right, he said. Then we'll take this one step at a time. Those words felt like a promise. Not of instant understanding, but of patience. And patience is powerful. My heart felt steady now. The fear that once twisted my stomach had transformed into something softer, something hopeful. But just when I thought the emotional wave had peaked, Grandpa added one more thing, quietly, almost to himself. And that's when I realized this moment wasn't just changing me. It was changing him too. He stayed quiet for a long moment after that, staring at the floor like he was replaying everything in his head. I waited, my hands folded neatly in my lap, my breathing slow and steady now. The fear that once shook my whole body had faded into a soft hum, like a distant echo. I realized I wasn't bracing myself anymore. I was just here. You know, he said finally, when you were little, you were always sensitive. Always noticed details others missed. I remember thinking the world might be too loud for you. That surprised me. I looked up, eyes wide. You remember that? He nodded. Of course I do. You were never weak. Just gentle. Oh girls, that word again. Gentle. My chest tightened in the best way. For so long, I'd been told gentleness was something to outgrow, something to hide. Hearing it spoken like a strength felt healing. I smiled softly. I think I'm still that way. I just learned how to show it differently. He hummed in agreement, like that made sense. Maybe this is part of that, he said, gesturing vaguely toward me. Toward my outfit. Toward my truth. I felt a flutter of pride. Not loud. Not flashy. Quiet and warm. Yes, Grandpa. I think it is. The room felt different now. Not tense. Not fragile. Just calm. The kind of calm that settles after a storm passes. I noticed my posture had changed without me realizing it. My shoulders were relaxed, my chin lifted slightly. I wasn't shrinking anymore. I wasn't hiding. He looked at me again, and this time his gaze didn't carry confusion. It carried curiosity. You seem lighter, he said. I laughed softly, a real laugh this time. I feel lighter. Like I don't have to hold my breath anymore. That's good, he replied. No one should have to hold their breath all the time. That sentence stayed with me. So simple. So true. I thought about how many years I'd spent holding in parts of myself, afraid of reactions, afraid of panic, afraid of moments exactly like today. And yet, here I was. Still standing. Still breathing. I shifted slightly, smoothing my skirt without thinking, a familiar, comforting gesture. I realized then that my femininity wasn't something fragile that would shatter under pressure. It had survived fear. It had survived panic. It had survived being seen. Grandpa watched the small movement, then looked back at my face. I may not understand everything yet, he said carefully. But I can see this isn't hurting you. And it's not hurting me. Hearing that felt like a seal placed gently on my heart. Acceptance didn't always come as a celebration. Sometimes it came as peace. I nodded, emotion thick in my voice. That's all I hoped for. He leaned back again, resting his hands on his thighs. We'll figure the rest out slowly, he said. No rush. No rush. Those words felt like permission. Permission to grow at my own pace. Permission to exist without pressure. Permission to be me. I smiled, a confident, feminine smile, and in that moment I felt like a queen in my own quiet way. Not because everything was perfect, but because I'd faced fear and didn't let it define me. But just when I thought the conversation had reached its calmest point, something unexpected happened that made my heart flutter all over again. He slowly stood up from his chair, and for just a second my body tensed again out of habit. Old fear reflexes don't disappear instantly. But his movements were calm, unhurried. No panic. No sharp reactions. I watched him closely as he walked toward the window and pulled the curtain aside, letting more light into the room. The sunlight spilled over me, warming my skin, making the colors of my outfit glow just a little brighter. I suddenly felt very visible again, but this time it didn't scare me. It felt honest. You don't need to hide in the dark, he said casually, still looking out the window. Those words landed deep. I swallowed, my chest tightening with emotion. I didn't even realize how much hiding I'd been doing until that moment. Hiding in rooms. Hiding in timing. Hiding in silence. I watched him turn back toward me, his eyes softer now. "You can sit comfortably," he added. "You look tense." I let out a small breath and leaned back into the sofa, allowing myself to relax fully for the first time since he came home early. My legs uncrossed slightly, my shoulders dropped, my hands resting naturally at my sides. It felt like permission without words. "Thank you, Grandpa," I said quietly. He nodded, then glanced at my shoes. "Those look difficult to stand in," he remarked. I laughed, a light, girly laugh that bubbled up without fear. "They are, but they make me feel confident." "Confidence has its price," he replied with a hint of humor. That tiny exchange did something magical inside me. Normal conversation. No tension. No panic. Just two people talking. The world didn't end. The ceiling didn't collapse. My sissy heart fluttered with pride. I realized then that empowerment isn't always loud declarations or dramatic acceptance. Sometimes it's a small comment about shoes. Sometimes it's sunlight through a window. Sometimes it's being allowed to sit comfortably as yourself. I stretched my toes slightly inside my heels, feeling grounded, present. I felt pretty. Not in a performative way. In a real, internal way. He sat back down across from me, more relaxed than before. "I can't promise I'll understand everything right away," he said. "But I don't want you living in fear in your own home." My eyes stung again, but I smiled through it. "That means more than you know." Fear had walked in with him earlier. Now it felt like it was quietly leaving through the open window. I could feel the shift inside my body, the way tension melted into confidence, the way shame loosened its grip. I straightened slightly, not out of nerves, but out of pride. This was me. Still feminine. Still soft. Still strong. And just when I thought the moment couldn't surprise me anymore, Grandpa said something so simple, so unexpected, that my heart skipped a beat. He looked at me for a long second, then said it, almost casually, like it had been sitting on his tongue the whole time. "You look happy." I froze. Not from fear. From shock. Happy. I hadn't realized how visible that feeling had become until he named it. My lips parted, and for a moment I couldn't speak. I just nodded, slowly, feeling my eyes soften. "I am, Grandpa. I really am." He exhaled, a deep, steady breath, and something in his face relaxed completely. "Well, that matters," he said. "Life's too short to live it miserable." Oh girls. That sentence wrapped around my heart like silk. Life's too short. I'd spent so many years shrinking myself, hiding joy, dimming sparkle, all because I was afraid of moments like this. And here he was, reminding me that happiness wasn't something to apologize for. I felt a gentle confidence rise inside me, the kind that doesn't need permission. "When I dress like this," I said softly, "I feel brave in a way I never did before. I feel proud of myself." He nodded, as if that settled something for him. "Pride is important," he replied. "Everyone deserves something that gives them that." I noticed then how naturally my body moved as I spoke. My hands gestured softly. My posture was relaxed but elegant. I wasn't performing femininity. I was living it. And for the first time, I wasn't waiting for disapproval. He glanced around the room, then back at me. "I won't pretend I expected this today," he admitted with a small smile. "But surprises aren't always bad." I laughed quietly, warmth bubbling up inside me. This one surprised me too. That shared smile felt like a bridge forming between two worlds that had never touched before. No panic. No lectures. Just acceptance growing slowly, naturally. I realized something powerful then, my loves. Sometimes the people we fear disappointing the most are the ones who surprise us with calm. Sometimes the panic we imagine never arrives. And sometimes, being seen is safer than hiding ever was. He leaned back again, looking thoughtful but peaceful. "I'll need time," he said honestly. "But you don't need to hide when I'm home." Those words echoed in my chest. "You don't need to hide." I nodded, emotion thick in my voice. "Thank you." I felt taller somehow. Not physically. spiritually. Like I'd stepped into myself fully, without flinching. The fear that once ruled my thoughts felt small now, replaced by something steadier. Self-trust. I smoothed my skirt again, smiling down at the fabric, then back at him. I'm still me, Grandpa. Just more honest. He gave a small nod. Honesty suits you. That line stayed with me. Honesty suits you. The room was quiet again, but this time it was comfortable. Peaceful. The kind of quiet that feels earned. And as I sat there, fully myself, I knew this moment would stay with me forever. Not because of fear, but because of courage, softness, and the quiet power of being accepted. But just when I thought the story was settling into calm, one final moment sealed everything in a way I never expected. After he said that, we didn't rush into more words. And honestly, we didn't need to. Sometimes silence says more than explanations ever could. I sat there, feeling my body, my breath, my presence in the room, and for the first time it didn't feel like I was borrowing space. It felt like I belonged there. I noticed the smallest things. The way the light touched my hands. The soft sound of fabric when I shifted. The steady rhythm of my breathing. All of it felt grounded, real, calm. The fear that once made my stomach twist was gone, replaced by something deeper and steadier. Relief. I thought about how close I came to hiding. How close I came to running. And how different everything felt just because I stayed. Just because I chose honesty over panic. That realization filled me with a quiet strength that made my chest lift slightly, my posture soften but straighten at the same time. I looked at Grandpa again. He was relaxed now, flipping through something on his phone, completely calm. No signs of stress. No signs of fear. And that alone healed a part of me I didn't even know was wounded. In my head, I replayed the moment he came home early. The shock. The terror. The way my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. And then I compared it to now. The calm. The acceptance. The stillness. It felt unreal in the best way. That's when it hit me, my loves. Fear loves imagination. Panic feeds on the stories we tell ourselves before reality ever gets a chance to speak. I spent years imagining this moment ending in disaster. And instead, it ended in understanding. I realized something else too. My femininity didn't weaken me today. It didn't cause harm. It didn't break anyone. It actually helped me stay calm, gentle, present. It helped me respond instead of react. That softness I was always told to hide. It became my strength. I smiled to myself, a slow, confident smile. Not flirty for anyone else. Just for me. Because I earned it. I faced fear in heels. I spoke truth with a soft voice. I stayed. I adjusted my wig lightly, not nervously, but comfortably. This is me, I thought. And I don't need to apologize for existing like this. Moments like this change you. They rewrite the stories you tell yourself. They teach you that survival doesn't always look like fighting or fleeing. Sometimes it looks like sitting down, breathing, and letting yourself be seen. I felt proud. Deeply, quietly proud. Not because everything was perfect, but because I trusted myself. Because I honored who I am. Because I didn't let fear decide for me. And as the calm settled fully into my body, I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just a scary story about Grandpa coming home early. This was a turning point. A reminder. A lesson I would carry with me every time fear tried to shrink me again. And with that realization glowing softly inside my chest, I was ready to say one last thing, not just to him, but to myself. As I sat there, calm and steady, one final thought wrapped itself around my heart like a promise. I don't need to be fearless to be powerful. I just need to be honest. That truth settled into me deeply, softly, the way only real acceptance can. I stood up slowly, my heels touching the floor with quiet confidence, not rushing, not hiding. I felt tall in my own way. Feminine. Grounded. Complete. Grandpa looked up, gave a small nod, and in that nod was closure. Not loud approval. Something better. Peace. I walked to my room afterward, every step light, my body relaxed, my mind clear. And as I closed the door behind me, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Not just the outfit. Not just the makeup. Me. Fully me. And I smiled. A confident, knowing smile. Because I survived the moment I feared most. I didn't break. I didn't disappear. I became stronger. Softer. Braver. My loves, listen to me closely. Fear will always try to tell you stories. It will whisper panic. It will paint worst-case endings before reality ever arrives. But your truth is stronger than fear. Your softness is not weakness. Your femininity is not something that causes harm. It is something that heals. Remember this line, my sweet angels, and carry it with you wherever you go. You are not too much. You are just finally enough. If this story touched your heart, if you've ever felt that same panic, that same fear of being seen, know this. You are not alone. This is our space. Our community. Our kingdom of soft strength and quiet courage. So like this video, because every like is a reminder that softness survives. Comment your thoughts, because your voice matters here. Subscribe and join the Sissy Empress family, where fear turns into confidence and honesty becomes power. And never forget, my beautiful sissies. When the world surprises you, meet it in heels, meet it with grace, and meet it as your true self. Until next time, stay soft, stay proud, and stay royal. Sparkling Heart Crown.